We appreciate all of the guests who have appeared on our show and sincerely thank them for providing you, our audience, with useful information. However, the advice our guests provide is theirs, and we encourage you to seek out a professional if you have specific questions about any topic we cover on the Crushing Debt podcast. On this week's episode of the podcast, Make More Money Through Masterminds.
Welcome to the Crushing Debt Podcast with your host, Florida attorney Sean Yesner, where our goal is to help you get rid of the financial bullies in your life.
So welcome back to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast. My name is Sean Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I have a real treat for you, a couple of returning guests actually for you this week. But before I get there, I do want to mention our sponsor, Sam Cohen with Attorneys First Insurance. And so if you're an attorney or a title company and you're looking for errors and omissions insurance or E&O insurance or malpractice insurance, all three of those are the same thing. Contact Sam at Attorneys First if you're a title company or an attorney, especially if you're in Florida. But even if you're not in Florida, give Sam a buzz. Reach out to him. If he can't write your insurance, he can find someone who can. He'll give you an apples-to-apples comparison of what your malpractice insurance is and what it could be. So again, Sam at attorneysfirst.com or www.attorneysfirst.com. But I do want to turn to my two guests on this week's show. So we have returning guest Tiffanie Kellog and returning guest Tom Fleming. Let me give you their bios real quick. Tiffanie has been working for 15 years helping people save time, make money while having fun. She is the author of 3 books, and I think each one of the books has been a previous episode on the podcast. I'll have to go back and double check. She is nerdy, she loves beer, and she loves socks. And again, we talk about a lot of that stuff on some of the previous episodes of the podcast as well. Also here we have Tom Fleming. He has been coaching individual business owners and groups for more than 20 years. He has literally facilitated thousands, if not tens of thousands, of meetings. He's an expert at asking the right questions that allow people to reach their own conclusions on a path to self-discovery, because he believes for your business to grow, you must grow. I have known both of these individuals 16-something years, 15, 16-something years, and I am very happy to call them referral partners, mentors, and friends. So welcome, Tom and Tiffanie.
So glad to be back.
Yeah, and Sean, I like beer too.
I think we all like beer. So I wanted to have you all on the show because, you know, although the title of the podcast is Crushing Debt, my firm belief is that there are really 2 great ways to get rid of debt. Number 1 is to decrease expenses or eliminate the debt, which I talk about a lot. But number 2 is to increase your revenue. And one of the best ways that I found, one of the best ways you two have taught me to increase my revenue is through networking, through word of mouth networking, through relationship networking. And so doing that and all the education that you all have provided me, I know that right now we're recording this hopefully near the end of COVID, but who the heck knows? And I know businesses are struggling right now, and a lot of people are going through some tough times. And I think a lot of that can be cured through relationship networking, word of mouth networking, and other types of things. So I wanted to sort of talk a little bit first. I know that we 3 are all a part of an Asentiv community here in Tampa Bay. So why don't we take a quick second and talk about what exactly is Asentiv?
So Asentiv, and I know we did an earlier podcast. I think we were sitting around your kitchen table, Sean, when we did the podcast where we had our Asentiv community. And our goal at Asentiv is to help people really maximize those relationships that they can gain through referrals so they can grow their business. And it's a simple system, and we really want people to have that focus. And the goal with that clarity is that you're going to be able to make more money, save more time, and have more fun. So you can do things like coach your kids' soccer league, or drink some of those beers. And in the Asentiv world, we have a couple different programs we offer. We have our Ignite Your Business program, which is a 10-module program, 2.5 hours, that is really focused on the system of referrals. We have a fun program called Roomful of Referrals, where we figure out your behavioral style. And if you've done it before, I'll give you a hint. Sean is a mixture or a blend of 2, the nurturer and the examiner. And you can actually go to our Asentiv Facebook page and you can see there's a quiz there somewhere on the page at Tampa. So it's facebook.com/Asentiv Tampa. And so you can see what your style is compared to Sean, who's our nurture examiner.
And I know there's a video floating around somewhere that tells you exactly what an examiner is and how an examiner organizes his refrigerator.
Yeah, so if you go to YouTube, put in Sean Yesner, and I think if you just put in YouTube and YouTube Sean Yesner refrigerator, it should pull up the video. It's a fun little video we did. I think it was that same time we did the podcast.
I think it was, and that was a couple of years ago now as we record this one, and you probably would not be surprised to know that my refrigerator looks almost exactly the same as it did in that video.
I was thinking of you when I was creating. So we got my husband a beverage fridge. So it's got all his non-alcoholic beverages so he can grab like his tea and his kombucha, things of that. So I felt very much like Sean organizing and putting it all in order.
Well, if you want some help, let me know. I'll come by and really get it organized for you.
Okay. Can you do that for my main refrigerator too?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
I got to get my own main refrigerator organized first. So,
Sean, my fridge looks the same as yours. I'm a go-getter examiner, which basically means that I take medication. But beyond that, we've also got a cool Facebook quiz that we're going to be launching in the next week or so to help people very quickly determine what their behavioral style is and get a brief summary of that. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I love the Room Full of Referrals program. I'm scheduled to take it, next week again, and I have my staff going through it with me because not only is it good to know what my behavioral style is, but then it's also good to be able to identify what is your behavioral style because then I can adapt mine to be more in alignment with yours, which creates the relationship faster and leads to the referrals faster. So I love the Room Full of Referrals program. I would encourage everyone to look into it. But what we've been doing the last couple months, which was the genesis of this podcast episode, what we've been doing the last couple of months are the Asentiv Mastermind Communities, which I have been loving. And I think I've been on nearly every one. I don't think I'm on 100% attendance, but nearly every one. So why don't you all talk about the history of how the mastermind community started and what they are and what they're all about?
So we have our Referrals for Life community in the Asentiv world, which Sean is a part of, along with a couple other folks that were on the podcast several years ago. And these are kind of the top level master networkers. And one of the things that we found is we have a lot to learn from each other. So it's probably been 2 or 3 years now that we would get together for lunch once a month and have lunch, and everybody would have 10 minutes or so to ask their burning question and get feedback from some really smart professionals. When COVID hit, we couldn't really meet in person. So we started doing them on Zoom. And we did one a month, and then we added a second a month. And we really found that at this point in our world with everything that's happening, information and support was so important. And for a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners, they may have staff or they may have people involved in their world, though sometimes they're not other people at the same level. So they may be the business owner and they have a staff full of people, but they're not other business owners they're talking to. Or they need some people with outside perspective, or sometimes it's helpful to have those different professions. And so bringing together this group of 8 to 12 people to help each other support themselves, to brainstorm what are ideals. We'd like to talk about what's your burning question. And I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more in a bit about, what some of Sean's burning questions have been. But what's your burning question? And let's get some ideas on how to help you in your business. Now, we've had this for our Referrals for Life community, and we decided, okay, so it's great for them, and we want to offer it to more people. And so in Q4 of 2020, we're launching, or we have launched, depending on when you're listening to this, in the type of group we're talking about, our Asentiv Mastermind Communities. So these are going to be monthly meetings that we're done online. That way we can have people from all over, or even in a small little community, to be able to help support each other. And we get to do that on Zoom. We get to help make things happen.
So Tiffanie, there's 3 sections of the mastermind agenda, if you will, and they are people, programs, and progress. Maybe you can comment on the people section of the mastermind. I'll get into the programs portion, and then you can touch on the most valuable section of the mastermind progress. But what about the people?
So the people is just an opportunity for people to get to know each other. While we will have monthly meetings, there's going to be stuff that will be happening outside of the meeting, as well as a community on Facebook for everybody in all of our various Asentiv Mastermind communities. While this program is created to offer information and support, it doesn't mean that you might not find your best referral source or your new best friend or maybe a new beer drinking buddy that would be interested in hanging out. So we're going to get to know each other as people.
Awesome. And when we talk about programs during the agenda, specifically, this is an Asentiv program, and Asentiv is all about trying to help people make more money, save time, have fun with their marketing of their business, specifically their referral-based marketing activities. So we bring in some Asentiv principles into these masterminds and ask people, hey, how have you been implementing this principle, this strategy? We really find that participants are learning a ton from one another with respect to thoughts that people are having on maybe refining their target market or their contact sphere professions, or a concept we have in Asentiv called your emotionally charged connection. But the bottom line is people sharing their notes with respect to strategies they're implementing and moving their business forward. Everybody's really gathering a lot out of that section of the meeting.
And then we wrap it up with progress, which is the bulk of the meeting. We hear a couple successes of what people have done from the last session, and then people ask their burning question. And it's kind of an open thing, what is going on in your business? And we've had all kinds of questions. Sean, what have been some of your burning questions? Do you remember some of them?
I do. And the thing that and we haven't talked about this part of it beforehand, but the thing that I find with the burning question is if it's something that everybody can relate to. If I'm asking something hyper specific about my business, sometimes I don't necessarily get what I'm looking for. But if I ask something that everybody has experience with, I get a ton of feedback. So one of the things I did was I asked, what are some of your strategies for getting out of debt? And I got a whole bunch of great responses to that is currently being engineered into a bunch of 2 and 3 minute video clips to promote all the stuff that I'm doing. Many people that have listened have heard, the launch of my second book, Become Debt Free. Well, all of these little videos are going to promote the Become Debt Free book as mini testimonials.
That was one of your questions. Do you remember any of your other questions? Just to give people a flavor.
Yeah. So one of the other questions that I've currently implemented, I was sort of feeling a little, I don't know what the right word is, a little, not
out of sorts.
Yeah, not as motivated as I used to be at the beginning of the year. And so I asked if anybody wanted to be an accountability partner, and I picked up 2 people from the community. And so the 3 of us are all in a WhatsApp group, just the 3 of us, and we are all accountability partners with each other. And in the week and a half, 2 weeks that we've been working on it, I've accomplished a ton, and I am remotivated again. So it's been great.
That's awesome. That's, the community involvement as well as helping you reach your goal. Tom, what have been some of your favorite questions that you've heard people ask?
Oh, I mean, just people asking about how to increase their referrals or increase their brand. Or I know one of my favorite questions to ask on all of these, because I love them, is questions on how to continue to market a business on social media, because I'm a little tech-tarded when it comes to the whole social media stuff. What you, Tiffanie, any questions of folks come to your mind?
Well, I love the business questions, but I also love, we had a woman ask, how can I read more books? And she was reading about a dozen books a year, and now she's reading 50 or 60 or 70 books a year. So she's dramatically increased the books that she's consuming. Sean, I had a question of how do I get more podcast downloads, because he is very, very, very close to a milestone in the podcasting world. So if you're listening to this and you love Sean's podcast like I do, maybe you share it with your friends, encourage them to subscribe and download. He's not looking, he's giving me that look right now, but that was one of the questions that we talk about.
the nurturer that doesn't want to talk about himself. But yeah, we are
the go-getter that wants you to hit your goals.
Right. We are approaching 100,000 downloads for the Crushing Debt podcast. So yeah, I appreciate all my listeners over the last 5 years. I've been doing this show, 240 something plus episodes. And so if you enjoy the content, yeah, I would absolutely love it if you could share it and help me get to 100,000 downloads. Thank you, Tiffanie.
That's super exciting, man. Congratulations.
I remember when this was just I wonder if I should start a podcast.
Yeah, and I had an accountability partner then, Tiffanie. Do you remember who she was?
Oh, yeah. She's pretty tenacious, too.
She made me launch. And if anyone goes back, and I don't think you can find, so Apple Podcast only limits you to the last 200. So as you get beyond 200, the older episodes fall off, which is good because Tiffanie kept me so accountable to launching the podcast that I had my date. And in order to hit my date, I had to record. But at the time, I had laryngitis. So if you listen to like my first 5 episodes, it's not my super sexy voice. It's laryngitis.
You are hilarious.
So, one of the things that I love about it, and we've talked a lot about it, is this is not a referral thing. I mean, relationships will be created. Referrals will naturally flow from the relationships that are created. But what I love about what the mastermind communities provide is it's the informational network in terms of the burning question. It's the support network in terms of the accountability. And so that's what I love about being a part of the community. What are some of the other benefits that you all are finding from being a part of the community?
Well, before we jump to those, Sean, just another observation I want to make is, it is difficult to run a business from the perspective of we're all constantly spinning plates with respect to our marketing or our operations or our financial situation. And, Tiffanie and I, we've definitely helped people grow and market and expand their business through the years, but that brings other challenges. I love some of the questions that people have been asking about, how and when do I hire an employee? Because as you more effectively market your business, you're going to get more customers, clients, and patients, and you're going to need help with that. And then there's other people that are asking, okay, I've heard of this whole distinction of working on versus in my business, but, what's that all about? We address customer service questions, financial questions, operational questions on these. And so really, we're more serving the business community with their overall challenges, which I think is really fulfilling for me and just tremendously powerful. Yeah, but I'm sorry, you had asked about benefits, but I just had to point that out.
No, I totally agree. It's amazing for me to be a part of the community because of what I'm getting from it. And interestingly, I know the referrals are there and the referrals are coming, but everything else that the community provides is so much more positive that I it's an easy couple hours out of the day, and it's easy to put in the calendar and do and myself getting to that point of now starting to transition the business, transition the podcast to start to work on it rather than in it has been highly beneficial to me. Anything else you guys want to talk about in terms of this?
Well, I love you bring up the word positive because there's so much going on in the world. And I mean, if you just want some negativity, turn on the TV or turn on social media. When we come into these AMC, Asentiv Mastermind Community meetings, they are all positive people. And so you're surrounded by people that have that positive attitude, and that's so contagious. And we had somebody on our last call that I think that they said one of the things they love about the Asentiv Mastermind community is people are asking the questions that they didn't know they need to be asking for their own business. And so there is some illumination of like, oh my gosh, I didn't even consider that I needed to be considering this issue.
Yeah, I remember that. One of the other things I remember, so you talked about the person that wanted to read more books. Well, you're a 3-time author. I'm now a 2-time author. We have other authors coming out of the mastermind communities that are turning to us to say, hey, from the experienced published authors, how do I get started? How do I publish?
We're experienced published authors. Oh, look at us.
Well,
I'm just kidding. Y'all can't. I forget that y'all can't see us being cute on the video.
That just means I stumbled onto how to do it correctly twice. So,
I was interfacing a little bit with Dr. Meisner. For those of you who follow him, he's the founder of BNI and Asentiv, and we were interfacing about the value of masterminds. And he had mentioned to me that, the whole concept of surrounding yourself with professionals as successful or even better, more successful than you are in this mastermind type environment, it's going to help create a new level of vision for people's businesses, for people's lives. And, his comment around that really had me reflect on his book, Who's in Your Room, which is really what this is all about, surrounding yourself with extraordinary people where we are in a supportive environment to raise the bar for every participant that's there.
Yeah, I read that book. That was a fantastic book and totally fits with the purpose of the mastermind communities. So we talked about how they worked in terms of people, programs, and progress, but I wanted to turn a little bit to the other aspect of it. So the geography, the industry, those other types of issues. In other words, who are these masterminds for? Where do the people that attend the masterminds, where are they located?
Gotcha. So great question. So the answer is yes. We have all kinds of different masterminds. So launching out, we have been doing our 2 Referrals for Life mastermind communities, and those are limited to people that are involved in the Referrals for Life level program. And we are starting to launch several different communities. So we have an attorney mastermind that will be facilitated by an amazing attorney that knows so much. And that's going to be meeting. And so all of our masterminds have a meeting once a month. And so this is going to be an attorney-focused mastermind, and it's limited to attorneys in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough County.
And Tiffany's talking about me, by the way.
Yeah, we have that one going on. We have a public adjusters mastermind that we're creating, and that's going to be for all the public adjusters in the state of Florida. We have a health and wellness mastermind that we're creating in the Tampa Bay area. We additionally have a general mastermind that is open to all professions that we're going to be doing, and that's not geography limited. So we are starting with a handful of masterminds that are specialty, with another dozen handful of mastermind specialties behind it that we will be creating geographies. And I was even joking with Sean. I'm like, you could have an FSU Alumni Business Owners Association.
Yeah, definitely.
Mastermind.
I would do that. Not during football season, but I would definitely do that.
I was going to say something about FSU football, but no.
Please don't. It still stings too much.
And Tiffanie, I'm going national. I want to create a coaching mastermind where we attract 8 to a dozen coaches from the Florida area, from the U.S., where we can all kind of get together and compare notes on our different specialties, maybe even get counseling from each other on how to handle particular clients. And then certainly I think a lot of our conversation is going to be around marketing people's coaching practice. It's an interesting industry for people to attract clients. And it's got to be based on relationships. You're not going to see someone out of the blue and say, hey, do you want to let me know all your dirty laundry and your business and your life so I can help you? No, most people, their focus is on looking good. So we're going to overcome some obstacles that coaches have in attracting and coaching clients in that. And I'm hoping to get some momentum around that group.
We are very excited about all of our groups that we're launching this quarter and then into 2021 and beyond.
So if you're interested in finding out more about the communities, you can go on the internet and type tampa.asentiv.com/AMC. So again, tampa.asentiv, ASENTIV, tampa.asentiv.com/AMC. That's where people can go who are interested in finding out what are the communities, what are the different communities. Now, I know there is an investment both in terms of time and cost, but it is an investment because it'll come back in spades, is what I've found. So what is the investment, Tiffanie?
So the investment is 2 hours a month for your mastermind meeting. And we have different types of masterminds. And so right now with our introductory pricing, it starts at $29 depending on the group that you're in.
That's $29.
$29 a month.
And man, I'll tell you, you use the word investment, and the ideas that I've been exposed to for other people's businesses, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of ideas posed to individuals, $10,000 ideas. It's just crazy. But of course, capitalizing on that investment is up to each individual to put in practice the advice that they received on the mastermind. So as is true in so much of business life, business and personal life, it's about follow up.
So, and I know there's some, you talked a little bit about the Facebook group, Tiffanie. There's also other resources that are going to be rolling out in terms of video content, social media content, and there's also a fun factor to a lot of this stuff as well, right?
What's our fun factor that we've got going on?
Don't we have socials going on and breakfasts and all that kind of stuff, or is that?
Yeah, we'll be having some breakfast with Tiffanie. Ha ha ha. I'm very punny today. And so we'll get extra content there. We do socials and we play games. Now, Sean probably really likes the games as fun because the last social that we had, he won.
I'm retired as champion. I'm done.
No. We're playing again next week.
I thought we were just calling it the Sean Yesner Award.
Oh,
that works for me.
So. Oh, yeah. So the winner gets to make up the new quiz.
Okay, after next week's quiz, right?
Yeah. So, and I mean, really, our goal is very business focused, and how can we make the most of our businesses? Though at Asentiv, it's amazing business and spectacular life. So we're not just about the business side of it. It's also about having a life that we enjoy, whether that's watching your team lose at football or, having your Bloody Marys, playing with your kids, cooking something delicious on your big green egg. We want to make sure people have the time to do the things they love to do. And those are things that Sean likes to do.
Those are all things.
Well, he doesn't like to do watching the losing football, FSU, who my husband is a huge fan of as well. So I get it. It's not been pretty this year.
It hasn't been pretty for a bunch of years, and no Boston College comments, Tom. So
no, I'm feeling pretty good. The Patriots are doing okay. The Bucks, had a rough night last night. It was a close one, and dare I say that the Gators are doing okay this year.
I don't know what that means. So to sort of wrap up, bring this all full circle back to one of the things we first talked about. So what the Asentiv Masterminds do is they help you to make your business the best that it can be. They're a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun in the community. They help people create relationships with other business owners that can help support them from an informational perspective, from a support perspective, and they help you create systems to run and grow and manage your business. Did I miss on any of the benefits there? Did I get all four?
I think it's been mentioned earlier. Tiffanie talked about the fact that, is our referral network important? Absolutely. But people also need to realize we also have an information and a support network. And that's really where these masterminds come into play, is in leveraging the information and the support that you need to move your business and your life forward.
So before we get to the end, before we wrap up, is there anything that I missed? Any last comments that either one of you want to add?
I think that in a time that is uncertain, we can definitely use help and an outside perspective to give us ideas that we may not have thought of, or help reinforce ideas that we were unsure if this is something that we would want to move forward with. And most small business owners, most people that have, just a business of a couple, aren't investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a board of advisors. And so this gives people an opportunity to have a small board of advisors without the huge investment that typically would come along with it.
Tom?
And Sean, I just want to say thank you. I've said it to you before, you're one of the hardest working guys that I know, super genuine person. You really got it in your heart to help your clients and help people that are near and dear to me. I know I've referred a few people to you through the years, and I want to congratulate you on your podcast, everything that you're doing, your second book, just phenomenal stuff. You're an inspiration to me, and I'm sure quite a few other people as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I will turn it right back around on the two of you, because I firmly believe that I wouldn't be where I am today without the support and the friendship and the mentorship of the two of you. So thank you. So I appreciate it. So I guess with that, I will wrap up this week's episode of the podcast. Again, to join a community and get the support and grow your business and grow your income, and then use that to eliminate your debt. And so, like I say at the end of every episode, I hope that at the end of the month you have more money, rather than at the end of the money you have more month. That'll do it for this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, and we will look forward to talking to you in next week's episode.
If you have questions that you think would make a great topic for a future episode, please email Sean or connect with us on social media. Sean Yesner and Yesner Law, PL, are Florida licensed attorneys. The information contained in this week's episode is not a substitute for legal advice. Your situation may differ, especially if you are located somewhere other than the state of Florida. If you have questions, please contact our office or contact a local attorney. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast.